It's easy for other projects to make projections on how fast their system is, but really the proof is when you actually see users there. The proof is when you actually see a lot of transactions there. And what ETH 2.0 will do is it will make everything that's wrong on Ethereum massively better. The transactions will be faster, the transactions will be cheaper, and all of the issues about sustainability, ESG, all of the issues about its scalability will be thrown out the door, will be thrown out the window. Hey guys, so in this video, allow me to talk about Ethereum, its merge to ETH 2.0, which transitions the entire blockchain from proof of work to proof of stake, because they have some really important disclosures that they released over the past few days. That being said, if you're new to this and you don't know what this entire ETH 2.0 move is, it's basically moving the entire Ethereum ecosystem from its current form, which is a very resource intensive proof of work system where you have miners, versus something that's energy efficient, which is proof of stake. That being said, let me set the backdrop for all of this, that they just had a recent disclosure that the scheduled merge, ETH proof of work to ETH proof of stake, which is scheduled for the second quarter this year or somewhere around June 2022, was relatively delayed. What's interesting about that is this: they just did a shadow fork to make it as simple as possible. They took some transactions from Ethereum mainnet, which had long blocks of history also, which was a test sample to actually see if the move that will happen when we actually merge the beacon chain, which is where ETH 2.0 is, to the Ethereum mainnet will be flawless. When they did the test, it came out relatively well. In spite of the relatively positive results coming in from that test, the timeline for the merge still actually delayed. So please do note that they need to do a lot of tests for this to actually happen, because while we're actually doing this, Ethereum, the current blockchain where all of the transactions are in, all of your NFT transactions are in, is currently live. And I think this is one of the biggest differences that's happening in Ethereum for ETH 2.0 versus all of the other ETH killers that were able to build the blockchains from scratch. Please do note this: when you look at Avalanche, when you look at Solana, Cardano, when you look at Polkadot, they literally were able to build the groundwork from zero. It's just like a property development company building to something from scratch without anything on it, and then they started to put the buildings on it, which are, in our context, the dApps, the applications that have been built on top of the blockchain. Now for Ethereum, there are currently live transactions that are built there, and what they're trying to do is they're building the beacon chain, they're building ETH 2.0 in parallel. And the goal is that you have the Ethereum mainnet here, then you have the Ethereum beacon chain here, which is proof of stake, and they'll have to merge. The problem with that is when you have something live that's going on, there's a lot of things that you have to consider, because a lot of live transactions are there versus something that has really not much load there. Please do note that as of this point in time, Ethereum is still one of the, not just the largest blockchains ever, but it has the most transactions. Most of the NFTs are still in Ethereum. So that's why it becomes a relatively complicated way for them to be able to do it. What they actually did was a very sound practice in the technology space for them to be able to simulate with a small subset if it will actually work. It would be very risky for them to just merge and transition everything. It could risk some potential errors, losses of data. It could even risk the chance that the system might get down if it's not tested properly. So in my opinion, I'm okay with this, that it has some delays. Better safe, better done properly than in a way that they try to rush it, that they just try to put it out for the sake of putting it out, but it puts the data, it puts the system at a larger risk as well. Here's the thing: if you have been following Ethereum for quite some time already, they have been delayed already. They have been pushing the project over and over. So if you have been tracking the project for quite some time, this isn't something that should alarm you. This shouldn't be something that should scare you because of the numerous tests and the complexity of all of this. In my opinion, this is something that is expected already. They have been delayed several times. I guess the downside for all of this is the longer Ethereum migrates, merges from the beacon chain to mainnet, the longer it takes for them to go to Ethereum 2.0, the more this Ethereum killers, from Avalanche to Solana to Polkadot to FTM Cardano will continually gain more traction, because until they actually merge, proof of work is something that's relatively expensive. It takes a longer amount of time for it to actually happen. It takes a longer amount of time for transactions to actually be sent out, and it's not as efficient. And if you've noticed it, there's a lot of institutions, there's a lot of funds around the world that don't want to support companies, or at least projects that are harmful for the environment. When Ethereum moves from proof of work to proof of stake, this will push and this will unlock a lot of other companies or a lot of other institutions that want to invest in them. But that being said, before that even happens, or the longer that takes, all of these Ethereum killers will have larger and larger traction as well. So just to give you an analogy of what they're trying to do, think about an airplane that's already flying, and they're building another one that's also trying to take on the load that this very, very large airplane is doing. And while both airplanes are on the air, they will try to switch all of the passengers, all of the users from that previous airplane, the older one, into a newer one. So if you try to imagine it from that perspective, it looks a bit complicated. It looks somewhat very, very complex to do, because again, similar to the other chains, what they're actually doing, their plane is on the ground. Their plane, they get to build it from scratch, little by little. But for Ethereum, you already have a plane in the sky. You're building another plane, and while it's running and flying in the air, you're trying to move all of the passengers, that it works in a way that it's safe, that whatever functionality that's happening in the current plane will work properly once everyone is there as well. Please do note, it's different when you're testing a system that there's not much users, there's not much load, there's not much applications out there. That's a totally different scenario versus doing something with a lot of load. And it's easy for other projects to make projections on how fast their system is, but really the proof is when you actually see users there. The proof is when you actually see a lot of transactions there. And what ETH 2.0 will do is it will make everything that's wrong on Ethereum massively better. The transactions will be faster, the transactions will be cheaper, and all of the issues about sustainability, ESG, all of the issues about its scalability will be thrown out the door, will be thrown out the window. So am I concerned? Not really. The fact that people are using Ethereum massively right now, even if it's expensive, given that it has scalability issues, how much more later on when all of those things are not there anymore, when it's massively better already? The reason why I'm not concerned is we have the best minds in this entire space working on it. We have the best talent working on it. We have people who are massively smarter than me working on it as well. So when you have that large amount of talent, that large amount of attention, and that large amount of money moving into that space, then why should you worry? So that's just my personal take. It doesn't mean you have to follow my take. It doesn't mean that my take is also something that will be correct all the time. But this delay, in my opinion, was somewhat expected, given the complexity of what they're doing. This delay, in my opinion, also was, they've been pushing it over and over in the past. So what's waiting more? But just to end this, even if you have ETH transition to ETH 2.0, it doesn't mean all of the other chains also will go away. That's not the particular narrative, primarily because to onboard the next billion users, it will be omni-chain, it will be cross-chain, it will be people not even knowing what blockchain they are transacting on, because there will be, in my opinion, interconnectability between all of these chains together. I hope that this was something that was insightful for all of you. I hope that this was something that gave you value also. But let me know your thoughts. I want to know, are you guys bullish still on Ethereum, or do you think that because of this delay, it will cause more things to falter for them, and it will allow other chains to actually gain prominence? It will allow other chains to actually do better. I miss walking and talking like this also, but I'm going to do more of this as we continue to reopen. This is Marvingermo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, and God bless you all.